All right. So, again, this is our semester final. You guys should know this by now. The details of it are in every time we meet in class live. You just click on in class and it'll give you kind of a detailed breakdown of what it is. But I'm about to kind of go through it in a little bit more detail. But I just wanted to let you know everything that you need, all of your resources, including the presentation I'm about to go through, is all whenever you click the in-class button. Whatever particular day you happen to be in class, when you click on the in-class button, all the directions are there. All right, so let me go ahead and get into the presentation now. Can you guys do me a favor? Give me a thumbs up right now if you see the slide. It says radio drama, theater of the mind, or I can see it in the chat. Let me know. Good. Jaleesa, Helena, good. I can see that you guys are seeing it. So before there was television, before there were movies, back in the 30s and the 40s, people would come and congregate in their living room, and they would gather around the radio for their entertainment. Now, the radio is where they got their news. The radio is where they got, political, advice about things. But then they also got their entertainment through radio drama programs. And that's kind of what you guys, well, that's not kind of what you're going to do. That is what you guys are about to do for your semester final, which is called a radio drama, which is the theater of the mind. Okay. So let me get into the specifics of it. Families in the 30s and the 40s, like I say, they would gather around. By the way, these radios were huge. They would sit in the living room. And like I said, people would gather around after they ate dinner because it was just that family time where they would sit around and listen to the radio. And by the way, I know you guys are probably used to the radio for like hearing music or news or sports. Like I said, they actually did it for their entertainment as well. Shows like Little Orphan Annie, Amos and Andy, The Guiding Light, some other shows that you might be familiar with like Superman, Popeye, Sherlock Holmes, just to name a few, actually started out as radio dramas. So, like I said, millions of Americans tuned in daily to their favorite programs, just as today people kind of sit around a television, although your generation doesn't even really sit around a television anymore. You guys have your devices. Radio allowed the listener to create their own images, characters, and settings. Everything was about their imagination because, again, all they could hear were the voices of the actors, and all they could listen to were the sounds that were created by the artists to really make the radio program, just like I said, more enjoyable to listen to. Again, the radio provided everything for them, not only their entertainment, but their news, sports, politics, everything. As a matter of fact, there's a very famous radio drama called War of the Worlds that they set it up so it sounded like an actual news report. And so people that tuned in late thought they were actually listening to the news. And War of the Worlds was about aliens taking over America. So people legitimately back in the day thought that the world was being taken over by aliens because they didn't hear the beginning of the radio show to find out that it was actually, a radio drama and not the actual news. So again, it created quite a bit of panic because, again, people thought, oh my gosh, we're being taken over by aliens. So, by the way, I did put a little link here if you want to hear one of the most popular radio shows was a show called The Shadow. So I popped a little YouTube clip. We're not going to listen to it now, but it is there for you guys to listen to down the road if you want to hear how an actual old school radio drama sounded. But what I do want to do is show you a video where these people got together on a stage and decided to pay tribute to the old school radio dramas. So you can see these people on the front, and they're going to read some old school scripts and kind of give the audience a feel of what it would have been like in the 30s and the 40s to actually listen to a radio drama. A couple of things I want you to take note of when you're watching this video. The guy all the way over to the left, he is the sound effects guy, or what we call a Foley artist. And he makes sound effects with all types of things, not only his voice, but he's got paper plates, he's got bottles, he's using whatever he can because they didn't have digital sound effects back in the day. They had to create those sounds with whatever they could find. So I really want you to pay attention to this guy because he's pretty amazing as far as all of the sounds that he creates. Also, you're going to note that they do commercials in these radio dramas. And by the way, when you guys actually do a radio drama, you are going to be doing a commercial as well, because that's what paid for that particular radio drama. You guys probably know this, but the reason people make lots of money in social media, like if they have a successful YouTube channel or a successful TikTok, it's because of advertisers that will pay to be a part of that person's social media so that their message gets out there. That's how people make lots and lots of money. So since they did it in radio dramas, I want you guys to also do it in yours. But you're going to note that he actually sings the commercial. Everybody listen to me now. You will not be singing your commercial. You'll be speaking your commercial. So I don't want you to freak out when you're like, oh my gosh, she's singing the commercials. Does that mean we're going to have to sing our commercials? No, you're not going to sing your commercials, okay? So as you guys know, I'm going to mute my mic. We're going to watch a small little clip of what an old school radio drama sounded like. Again, these people are paying tribute to it. This is not an actual recording of an actual radio drama, because that would have been way back in the day. And as you can see, this YouTube clip is obviously in color. All right, so let's watch, enjoy again. Notice the guy all the way over to the left. Watch how crazy he gets with the sounds. All right, here we go.
I started listening to radio when I was a boy, and I had no friends because I was kept in my room because my parents were afraid that other children would have a bad influence on me. So they kept me in my room, and my only friends were people on the radio.
And now Consolidated Broadcasting System brings you Baghdad by the Bay, sponsored by San Jose Sourdough Bread.
Sourdough is delicious, and it comes from the West Coast. Try it every day, San Jose sourdough toast.
And now today's story. San Francisco's notorious Wolfman is loose again, having escaped from Alcatraz in a hail of hot lead. And with the help of an evil dolphin, he made it across the bay to Sausalito, where he commandeered a fast car, heading up Highway 1 to the Muir Woods.
I hate nature, having been locked up in that tiny cell. I'm gonna get my revenge by throwing these beer bottles into the redwoods. And by this...
Yes, my parents kept me away from other children for fear I would learn bad things, but instead I learned bad things from the radio. Galloping out of the setting sun on our horse, Ramon. It's the woman who brought rationalism to the Wild West, Avis Burnham, ACLU. As we join Miss Burnham, she's carrying on her war against Christmas in the town of Yellow Springs.
I will never give up, you Baptists. You hear me? There will be no religious symbolism in public places, and that includes Christmas trees. And that includes Christmas bulbs.
Radio was full of very bad people. My parents weren't aware of that. A lot of violence there. I'll never forget that show where the giant slime rose up from San Francisco Bay. An enormous protoplasm, and found a lonely windsurfer out there in the dark and devoured him whole. No! Bad things happen to good people all the time in radio, and people made terrible career choices.
Family Horror Theater. Brought to you by the manufacturers of baked beans, America's favorite vegetable.
Oh, baked beans are nutritious, help you live the healthy way. Take a tip from me, treat your family to baked beans every day.
As we rejoin the Jones family this week, we find that little Wanda has wandered away from the asparagus fields, where the family has been doing farm labor ever since Pops developed a cough syrup dependency and lost his job as a school counselor.
I think I'll walk up this dark road and see what's in that deserted barn over there. I'm tired of picking asparagus. There's no future in it whatsoever. You stay here, Rex.
Wanda! Wanda!
Oh, gosh, look! It's an old Curtiss biplane. It's covered with cobwebs. I wonder if I can get the engine started. Then I could take her up in the air even though it's pitch dark out, and I can fly to Los Angeles and perhaps gain employment in the motion picture industry. Oh boy! Hollywood, here I come! I'm flying! I'm flying! Oh, how do you steer this thing? Oh dear, the steering wheel just broke. Oh, what to do now? Oh, maybe if I press down on these foot pedals. Nope, didn't work. Oh gosh, the right wing just fell off. Oh well, I'm a left winger anyway. I can fly on one wing. And if it comes to that, I have my little red umbrella for a parachute.
So again, that kind of goes on a little bit longer, but I just wanted to give you a little snippet of it. Now, obviously, if this was a real radio drama, you wouldn't have been able to see any of those people back in the day. You would have just heard all of the sounds and the voices and the music. And again, it created what we call this theater of the mind. Also, you'll kind of see that there's some similarities between radio drama and reader's theater, except in radio drama, they didn't have narrators, they had announcers. The announcer's the guy that has that booming voice, and he would talk a little bit about what's happening in that episode. Also, typically then the announcers might also be responsible for doing the commercials because they always had the most polished voices. And then you had your characters. And then I don't know if you saw that guy over to your far left, man, but he was making sounds out of whatever he could find, paper plates, making sounds with his voice. Again, I'm not expecting you guys to be at that level, but again, it's kind of cool to see how it would have been during that time. Okay, so again, this is what you guys are going to be doing is a radio drama. By the way, very similar, right, to reader's theater, except I would say that radio drama has more of what we would call a voice acting type of situation. Again, I guess the closest thing we have to it nowadays would be animation, right? Because I know in animation we can see things, but we don't really see the actors working. We can only hear the voices, and then they add music, and then they add sound effects. And even the actors have to lend themselves to doing sound effects, especially if like the character's falling off a cliff or gets hurt or something. They got to make sounds. Those couldn't have been made digitally. So again, it's a whole kind of theatrical experience, except it's all in the mind. Okay, so let me kind of go into the details of what you guys are going to do. Again, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. We've got some time to work on it. By the way, we don't have as much time to work on this as we did our last one, but there's a couple of things about this one that are going to make you happy, and I'll explain what that is in a second. All right, so let me go to the next slide here. Let me see if it'll allow me to go to that next slide. All right, so here's the assignment. You are an employee of a local radio station, okay? By the way, they still have radio stations. I know you guys don't probably listen to the radio, but there are still radio stations out there. Your boss, who grew up during the golden age of radio, has decided he wants some new programming. And he wants you and some other employees to produce their own radio drama program, okay? So now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Now, I know there's a lot of bullet points here, I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to show you where everything is. So again, I want you to stay relaxed. So in groups of 4 to 5, you're going to perform a section of a radio drama script that I give to you, okay? Now, here's where it's going to get a little tricky. When I give you the script, when you click on the link, it's going to ask you to make a copy. Now, here is where I really need you to pay attention, okay? I only want one person in the group to make a copy of that script, and then they'll share it with everybody else. Because if everyone in the group makes a copy of the script, then all of you are going to be working with different scripts, and you all need to see the same script so that you know where the sound effects are, where people's lines are. So again, I want to stress this. One person will click on the link, and I'll remind you when I give you the link, make a copy of it, but then you'll share it with everybody else in the group, okay? Then you guys are going to do what you did last time. You're going to assign each person in the group a color, okay? And that way, when you give them a character or when you get a character, you're going to highlight it in your color, okay? It just makes it a lot easier, okay? This time around, you're going to be adding a 30-second commercial. And we're going to be adding some modern commercials. Okay, we're not going to do the old school ones because it'd be kind of cool just to add some commercials that we have nowadays. So I'm going to show you where to find commercials. Typically, your announcer person will do the commercial, okay? And then, guys, you're going to add sound effects. Now, listen to me. Here is the good news. In the scripts this time, it tells you exactly where to put the sounds, okay? There's no guessing this time, okay? Also, it tells you exactly in the script where to add your commercial. You don't even have to guess, okay? Now, it's still up to you to create the sound effects, but at least you know where they're at and what sound effects you need to add. This time around, when it comes to the sound effects, guys, you can use your voice, you can use things around you, you can also add digital sound effects. You have everything that you need at your fingertips to create those sounds. And also this time around, you can split up the sounds, okay? If you have digital sounds, though, probably have one person just be in charge of clicking on that. But sometimes you might need to make the sound because it's your character who's making that sound. So again, everything you'll need is in the script. Also, one little thing that we're adding this time around. By the way, in the radio drama, we're not going to be doing an ambient sound. If you guys remember, the ambient sound was the sound we played throughout. You don't need to do that this time. We're just going to add sound effects where they need. But some of the sound effects, I don't know if you guys heard, were actual like instruments. And you can't really do that with your voice. But one instrument that was really popular was the organ. And by the way, those of you that don't know what an organ is, it's type of a piano. And I found this cool app, and it's actually called Organ. And when you click on it, there it is. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have no formal training on playing the organ. But here's what I do know. If there's a part in your script where it asks for some music, typically the organ is the best thing to hit. And what I typically do, again, I don't know how to play the organ, is I just grab it as many fingers as I can and I just put it on there. Especially if it's supposed to be scary. And then it's like, all of a sudden, the stranger walked into the room. And that's all you need to do. And if it's happy, whatever. You can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can actually add some organ music to just enhance our radio drama. Because again, the organ was pretty popular during that time. So sound effects are whatever you want, okay? Use your voice, use digital sound effects, add the organ, have some fun. And again, a little stress-free this time because the script tells you exactly where to add everything you need. All right, so now let me show you. You guys should already know this by now, but where you find the assignment is when you click on module every time to find the details of it. You'll go to whatever class day we happen to be on. Today is Monday. You would click on Monday, and I already did that for you, and here we go. Here's everything that you're going to need. Here's the directions that I just went over, but now here's the scripts down here. Again, some of these scripts you might be familiar with, or at least the titles of them, like Superman. There's one called Archie, Flash Gordon, Popeye, Sherlock Holmes. Have you guys ever heard of Sherlock Holmes? Maybe let me know in the chat if you've ever heard of Sherlock Holmes. And then here's some other ones like Suspense, The Hall of Fantasy, The Haunting Hour, The Strange Dr. Weird. So there's a few scripts to choose from. By the way, do you see the number next to the script? That's how many people or characters are needed. And by the way, a lot of these also need an announcer. An announcer is basically what you guys would have known in the Reader's Theater world as the narrator, okay? If you'll notice underneath the scripts also too, we have links to the commercials. Now this is a kind of a website that I found that has all types of different types of commercials. So you just kind of have to go through it. But as you can see, it's got 54 pages. But if you scroll down, and I can go down here to the table of contents, look at all these different types of commercials. They've got arts and entertainment, automotive, computer science. Look at all these health and medicine, home and garden, whatever. They've got all kinds of different commercials. And then you can just scroll down to whatever page number that is and just find a commercial to do, okay? So I'm just gonna kind of scroll down a little bit, and I came across, well, maybe I'm just gonna do, let's see what this one is here. This one is for Valley View Automotive, okay? And the commercial that you read is just at the bottom of the paper. So I scroll all the way down, and then here it is. And the announcer or whoever's on commercial would simply read this. Are you ready for this? Valley View Automotive's got all the hottest SUVs you've been looking for. Enjoy a test drive and the opportunity. So anyway, I could keep going, but you guys can clearly see that there yourself. Okay, so you'll pick a commercial. And by the way, in the script, it tells you exactly where to put the commercial. You don't even have to guess, okay? Then, if you decide that you're gonna do a mixture of different types of sound effects, but you also still wanna use some digital sound effects, I left the link there. You guys should already be familiar with this. This is a website that's got all of the sound effects for any digital sound effects. But again, you can use your voice, you can use the organ, you can use little props. I mean, that guy had paper plates and all kinds of crazy things going on. So at the end of the day, it's whatever you decide that you want to do with regards to creating those sound effects, okay? So again, I know I've said a lot, but I just created a video right now that you'll be able to watch. Also, I'll be available in each and every one of the rooms to help you along. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to stop this recording because I'm gonna get into the nitty-gritty of what we're gonna do. So here we go.